That's not my point. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheryl Swoopes might want to take a long vacation because at this point, her takes on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are aging worse than milk left out in the sun.
Some
So
new
that's,
some
yeah,
shit's
like it's a
going on around
lot.
there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah. Now listen,
There's a lot of things. What kind of things you say?
I'm not in the locker room.
A few months ago, she stood tall, puffed out her chest, and confidently told the world that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. She said the Fever's locker room was a disaster, that free agents would run the other way, and that Caitlin Clark wouldn't be able to adjust to the WNBA for years. Fast forward to today, and now Indiana is sitting on one of the greatest free agency hauls in league history, while Swoopes is nowhere to be found. Somebody check on her. Is she okay? Maybe she's out somewhere trying to erase all those bad takes from the internet. Spoiler alert, it's too late. The receipts are printed, laminated, and framed. Let's be real. Sheryl Swoopes wasn't just wrong, she was spectacularly, embarrassingly wrong. And the best part? The very same players she claimed would never sign with Indiana are now the ones packing their bags and heading straight there. Natasha Howard, signed. DeWanna Bonner, signed. Sophie Cunningham, signed. Sydney Colson, signed. The Fever didn't just win free agency, they absolutely dominated it. Meanwhile, Swoopes is out here looking like a broken Magic 8 ball. All her predictions were dead wrong. It's almost impressive how consistently bad her takes have been. She's so off target, she makes Shaq's free throw percentage look elite. Sydney Colson, who just signed with Indiana, even gave some insight into why she made the move. She said Kelsey Mitchell was the first player she reached out to, and that she had heard great things about Caitlin Clark from her former Aces teammate, Kate Martin. Oh, but wait, I thought nobody wanted to play with Caitlin. Funny how the actual players don't seem to agree with Swoopes' nonsense. And let's not forget, Colson was one of Aja Wilson's best friends on the Aces. If she was leaving Las Vegas, wouldn't she have gone somewhere else if Indiana was such a disaster? Nope, she wanted to be there. So much for that whole nobody wants to play in Indiana nonsense. And let's talk about Caitlin Clark for a second. Swoopes said she wouldn't translate to the WNBA immediately, that she'd struggle, that she needed years to adjust. Yeah, tell that to the Fever, who are already treating her like the face of their franchise. Clark isn't just adjusting, she's thriving. She's dropping 40-point games like it's nothing, leading the league in assists, and selling out arenas in a way no WNBA player ever has. The Fever were a complete afterthought in the league a year ago, and now they're the hottest ticket in town. But sure, let's listen to Swoopes, who apparently thinks Caitlin Clark should have politely waited her turn instead of becoming the biggest star the league has ever seen. The funniest part is that Swoopes is so deep in her feelings about Caitlin that she won't even say her name. She was on a podcast talking about Indiana's success and literally named every single player except Caitlin Clark. It's giving serious, bitter ex who refuses to acknowledge their ex moved on energy. Stephen A. Smith even called her out for it, because at this point, it's just blatant hating. Imagine trying to discuss the Fever's success without mentioning the one player who changed everything for them. It's like talking about the Chicago Bulls dynasty and leaving out Michael Jordan. Makes no sense. And let's not act like this is just some harmless old-school basketball opinion. This is pure ego. Sheryl Swoopes, along with a handful of other WNBA veterans, is struggling to accept that Caitlin Clark is already bigger than they ever were. It burns them up inside. Clark didn't wait in line, didn't ask for permission, didn't play the politics game. She just came in, smashed 62 records, and changed the entire trajectory of the league. And instead of celebrating that, some of these so-called legends are spending their time being salty about it. The Indiana Fever aren't just relevant now, they're legitimate title contenders. They've built a real squad around Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull. Their front office isn't treating Clark like a rookie who needs years to develop. They're treating her like a superstar who is ready right now. And that's because she is. You don't go out and sign DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, and Sophie Cunningham if you think your team is years away from competing. You do that when you know your window is open. Meanwhile, teams like the Las Vegas Aces, who were supposed to be unstoppable, are starting to crumble. And just wait until next season when Clark is even better. Because let's be real, her numbers are only going up from here. If you think she's breaking records now, imagine what happens when she has a full season under her belt and an even stronger supporting cast. The MVP conversation is already shifting in her direction, and if she snatches that award in year 2, the meltdown from the anti-Caitlyn crowd is going to be legendary. So Sheryl, what happened? Where are all those locker room problems you were so sure about? Where are all the free agents running away from Indiana? Because all I see is a stacked roster and a team that's ready to dominate. Maybe it's time to admit you were wrong and move on. But let's be real, that's probably never going to happen. Instead, she'll double down, come up with some new excuse, and keep trying to discredit Caitlyn Clark. And in the meantime, Clark will keep doing what she does best, proving people wrong.